Archana, why don't you start and lead the session? I'll be here to take questions and also answer your questions that you have on the chat box.
Sure. Thanks, Rahul, for the introduction. Thank you, Pankaj. Welcome everyone to this session today that we're going to be talking about effectively measuring learning through Class Saathi. Just allow me a moment to share my screen with all of you. Great. So like I said, that today we will be talking about effectively measuring student learning through Class Saathi. Before I start, I actually want to throw open a couple of questions to all of you over here. My first question is actually going to be a poll. And what I would like to know is, how often do you conduct formative assessments? Rahul, can I please request you to start the poll? What I would like you all to do is think about the last few months in lockdown, where your classes have actually been online, and how have you actually managed to do formative assessments?
The poll is live.
Yeah, so I can see a lot of, once a week, and yeah, so once a week I think is winning hands down over here. There's also a lot of people who are saying once a month. And obviously a few of us have been able to do it almost every day or once in the last 3 months. So kindly requesting everyone to, please put in your answers so it gives us a perspective of, how things are currently for each of us. Now it's great to see that, over 50% of us, have actually been able to do it once a week. So the last 10 seconds, can I please request everyone to, put in your answers, please, before we actually close the poll and then move on. Great. Rahul, can I just request you to end the poll? So what this is telling me is that, most of y'all, over 50% of y'all have been able to do formative assessments, once a week, and which is great given the situation. I actually want to now move on to my next question, which is how are you actually currently measuring the learning of your students? So if you've said that you've been doing your formative assessments once a week, I'd really like to know how and what tools have you been using. So please request you to use the chat box and share your responses with me. So have you been using Google Forms or WhatsApp, or has it, what other online tools have you really been using?
We've seen some Google Forms, seeing a lot of Google Forms, some video presentations in the chat window.
So Google Forms seems to be like a favorite then.
Yeah, WhatsApp, FaceTime, someone said earlier, Edmodo, Google Meet, a quiz at the beginning of each class, Kahoot, Quizlet, Google Forms, yeah.
So Google Forms primarily, and then obviously some other tools like Kahoot and others. That's great. So what if I now, told you that you would be able to do an assessment, after every class or after every lesson? Not just that, but you would also be able to, get detailed statistics of the performance of every student in your class to make your online classrooms more personalized. Yes, that's exactly what Class Saathi is set out to do, is to help schools and teachers have a hassle-free, data-driven approach to improving teaching and learning. And as Rahul already shared earlier, during this webinar, we will be, we'll be understanding more about Class Saathi and all its offerings. We would learn about the Class Saathi at-home app and its features. We'd explore ways of using the app for assessments. And finally, I'll be sharing, a sample report card by Class Saathi, which we provide to our schools. But before we go ahead, I would just want to let you know that we're going to be having an activity in the next 10 or 12 minutes. And I'd like all of us to prepare for the activity right now. So for all of you who've actually joined this webinar on your laptop, I'd request you to go to Play Store on your Android device, look for Class Saathi, and please download the app. For those of us who've joined us on your mobile phones, I would request Pankaj to please, put the link on the chat box, and you can download the app from there. I'd just request you to download the app and please not, go any further. Wait for instructions when we actually about to begin the activity. And like I said, it's going to happen in 10 minutes from now, and a reward awaits you at the end of the activity for the top performers. So I'll give you all a minute to just download the app right now.
So the app right now is only on Android phones. We will soon have an iOS version. For those who are using their iPhones, please be patient with us for a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Pankaj.
Even for those who are on the desktop, this app is Android only. And again, we're also working on a desktop version, which will be out in a couple of weeks. So we found that all the teachers that we are working with, especially in government schools, they have an Android phone. Hence, we focused on that to begin with. But there have been a lot of requests from us to us for the mobile version on the iOS and the desktop version, which we are working on as well.
Great.
Yes, it's a Class Saathi learning app for class 6 to class 10. That's correct.
Yes. Sorry. So on your Play Store, that's what you would see.
Yeah.
And let's just leave it on download, and we can continue with the webinar. Like I said, we will come back to this in about 10 minutes from now. So before going into what Class Saathi is and what are its features, I would just want to share about Pankaj's journey and his story and how Class Saathi came about being. So Pankaj comes from Central India, and he went to a small village school. From there, he went on to study in the top 3 institutes across the globe, starting with IIT Kanpur, then getting his MS from Seoul National University, and finally his MBA from Harvard Business School. So his journey from a small rural school to Harvard Business School has been really inspiring, for all of us at Taghive. And not just Pankaj, but each one of us over here has now come to believe that education is a great equalizer in life, and technology can help improve the quality of education. So this really is our founding stone, and each one of us at Taghive is working relentlessly towards achieving this mission. So when we started off and we dwelled deeper into the education space, 3 problems really stood out to us, and we really wanted to solve for those. The first one was that every time we spoke to a teacher or an educator, one question that recurred was, how do we really know if our students are learning? Secondly, we noticed that teachers, parents, school leaders, administrators are all working in silos and taking efforts independently towards the progress of students, but they're not really coming together. And thirdly, anything digital has always been looked upon as being expensive, and a vast majority of schools find themselves incapacitated to adopt a new technology, and they feel that no, this technology is not really for us. So we at Taghive wanted to solve for each of these problems, and we laid our our first principles, which is easy formative assessments. So we want every teacher to be able to assess the learning of their students, conduct easy formative assessments at any given time, and have access to the performance report of each child and their entire classroom. And all of this without it adding to the additional, without this adding to what they're already doing. So this needs to be very easy and hassle-free for them. Secondly, we want all of the stakeholders like your parents, teachers, school leaders, administrators to all come together and be equally invested in the progress of every child. And most importantly, we want technology to be affordable, accessible, light, and infrastructure agnostic, so that every school and every child across the country is able to access technology and is able to benefit from it equally. And all of this led to Class Saathi. Class Saathi is an AI-powered platform that helps teachers, educators, and educators and students achieve more. Class Saathi is a solution by Taghive, which is a South Korean education startup based in South Korea, and it's funded by Samsung Ventures. We have our operations both in India as well as in South Korea. Class Saathi is a complete solution. So we look at learning in schools and also learning at home. Today in this webinar, we will primarily be focusing on our at-home learning, given the situation that all of us are in. But I would like to briefly touch upon our school solution because we believe that, in the next couple of months, probably we're all going back to school, and it would be good for teachers to know how they can use Class Saathi to make their classrooms more engaging and participative. So Saathi for Schools is a clicker-based solution wherein every student in the classroom has a clicker, and the app runs on the teacher's smartphone or in a desktop or laptop within the classroom. The teacher is then able to conduct formative assessments easily and has access to the performance of every child in real time. The photo that you're actually seeing here is from one of our classrooms in MP, and Class Saathi has been efficient even in a setting like this. It has not just made these classrooms more engaging and participative and fun for the students, but it has proven to effectively improve the learning outcomes and the attendance. Today, Class Saathi for Schools is being run under the brand name of Class Key in over 400 schools in South Korea. And prior to the lockdown, it was run in schools in MP, schools by HCL Foundation, Moini Foundation, and some other private schools across India. And what Class Saathi has really helped our partners with is providing them with meaningful data. So what we've been able to do is we've been able to quantify learning outcomes for them and show them the strongest learning outcomes and the weakest learning outcomes for a particular class, or for a particular section. And this has really helped them in taking, immediate corrective measure. So in fact, one of our partners in MP actually calls us as the lens that has now allowed them to see data that they were not able to see before. So this was, in very short about the Class Saathi school solution. If any of you is really interested and wants to know more or has questions about it, Pankaj and I are more than happy to take this conversation offline. At the end of this webinar, our details will be shared with you, and please feel free to write to us in case you want to know more about our school solution. Moving on, we're talking about the crux of this webinar, which is Saathi at Home, which is nothing but an AI-powered personalized learning app. And like Pankaj already said, that right now it's available only on Android phone at absolutely no cost. The app is mainly catering for the subjects of maths and science, and for students from classes 6th to 10th. All of the questions on the app is based on the CBSE or the NCERT curriculum. Some of the features of the app are personalized recommendations, a question bank by IITNs, mock test, and e-certificates. Today, over 50,000 students across the country are using and benefiting from Class Saathi. I'm now going to take you all through, some more details on the top features of the app. Starting with personalized recommendations. So like I already said, that the app is for students from classes 6 to 10 for the subjects of math and science. And when I'm talking of personalized recommendations, what I really mean is that students are given questions based on the performance, based on their performance on questions that they have already solved. So basically, the Saathi AI gets smarter with every question that the students are solving. And how this is really helping students is that it allows them to focus on the skills that they are weak in, strengthen those skills, and thus make an overall progress in their learning. The next feature is unlimited question bank. So like I said, that all of the questions on the app have been specifically created for Class Saathi by IIT graduates. So these questions are unique and you're not going to find them elsewhere. Not just that, every question is mapped to a skill and is also mapped to varying difficulty levels. So for a particular chapter, students have a wide variety of access to questions that are of varying difficulty levels. And in the past 6 months, over 300,000 questions have already been solved on the app. Next, the app allows students to undertake a mock test. So students can create their own mock test wherein they can choose the chapters that they want to test themselves on. They can choose the number of questions they want to attempt and the difficulty level of these questions. So they can have either a 30-minute mock test or a 60-minute mock test. And how this really helps them is that it simulates a real test environment, a real exam environment for them. And in the last 1 month alone, over 1,000 mock tests have already been attempted by our students. Moving on, the most important aspect of the app is the detailed statistics and the analytics that we provide. So over here, not just that the students know how many questions they have attempted, what their average score is, or the time that they have spent in learning, but they are also given the skills that they really need to focus on, the areas that they really need to focus on. And all of the recommended questions and chapters are linked to these skill areas. So what this helps students with is that they are now able to focus on their weak areas and make an overall improvement. And lastly, students can validate their learning with the certificate of completion. And this is nothing but an open badge that students can access online anywhere on the web. Pankaj, would you want to add something over here? Or?
I think a couple of updates on the numbers. For example, today morning our team got the new data, and so far around 2,000 mock tests have been done in the last 8 weeks. And a couple of questions have come up on the Q&A portal here.
Sure.
Asking us for Hindi, is it available in Hindi or not? Is it on iPhone or not? Is it for also grades 5 and other grades? So we are a small company, but we are moving very, very fast. We will add other grades. We will also add other platforms like iOS and desktop. We'll also add other subjects, but we want to really make sure that we are right on the algorithm side as far as these two subjects are concerned, maths and science. Once we have flattened that out, once we have solved that, then we will of course expand to other subjects, other platforms, and other languages. So right now it's in English. It's only for class 6 to class 10. And also right now it's only for CBSE curriculum. Yeah, I think with that we can move on, Arshna.
Great, thanks for that, Pankaj. So, so I've, shared with you in theory what Class Saathi is, what its features are and how it works. And like I had promised that, we are going to be coming to an activity. So I think it's time for me to stop talking and, for all of us to have some fun. And we're going to jump into our activity. So the activity is nothing but it's going to be a hands-on experience of the Class Saathi app. And if you haven't already, downloaded the app, please do so from Play Store or from the link that's been shared in the chat box. For all those who have already downloaded the app, please log in using your Google ID. And just for the sake of this activity, please select your class as class 10th. You're able to change this, post the webinar, you can, play around with the app and, you can change your class. But for this activity, let's choose class 10 and let's wait over here for everyone to, catch up. Please do let us know in the chat box that, you're ready to now proceed so I can give you the next set of instructions.
Yeah, there's a question here on the portal while folks are downloading this and selecting their class.
Sure.
To the point that Arshna has pointed out. A few questions have come about certificates, that is it authentic or not. So what we do is we give certificates which are open batch protocol, and we give you full data points on how many questions you have solved on our platform. We give you ideas on your skills, which skills are strong and weak. And it is by us, meaning that it's a soft copy of the certificate. just to certify that you have studied hard on Class Saathi and you have achieved certain scores. It's not so easy, by the way, to get a certificate. You have to work on Class Saathi for 60 days and complete at least 80% of the questions on the Class Saathi. And every day the questions are increasing. So it has to be hard work to earn a certificate.
Great. So are most of us, have most of us logged in, and have we selected class 10th as our class? Are we good to go ahead?
Yeah, I think people are getting there. And I think if by mistake someone has chosen class 6,
and
they
that's
can actually
fine.
go. They can just be, I mean, it's fine. It's not a big issue.
Yeah, not an issue. So if you have chosen class 6 or any other class apart from 10th, absolutely no problem.
But we would recommend for those who are yet to select, please select class 10 because we have a contest going on.
Yes.
Which you would enjoy actually. Even class 6, it's fine, but let's just focus on class 10 for the moment. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for putting in your comments very actively. We're watching them all. And there's some questions which have come to me on a private chat. I will answer them later on once the session is over. So if you want us to answer your questions, you can leave your questions also to sathi@taghive.com. I will leave the email address here on the chat box. So later on, of course, Archana will share this later on as well.
Yeah. So
okay,
I think we should, move on. I'm sure that most of us have now logged in and have selected our class, which should be class 10th. So if you've done that, the next step over here is going to be, I would need you to solve the first 3 questions of the first chapter that you see, which is real numbers. So don't worry about, getting it right. It's just about experiencing how the app works. So we're just going to solve 3 questions of chapter 1, which is real numbers. And once you've finished with the 3 questions, please hit the back button and quit the quiz. So let's all just, do our 3 questions. And please wait for my instructions post that once you've done your 3 questions.
No, it's just a question. Let's not go to the mock test. Let's just choose that chapter. Click on that first box that you have.
Yeah.
And please click on that box and the real number box and solve 3 questions. Please don't do the mock test right now.
Yeah, not the mock test.
The full test is the mock test. Yeah.
We just need to select the first chapter, which is real numbers, and solve 3 questions.
So I'm seeing that over 100 people, I think, already have downloaded the app and are moving in.
Great.
I think for those who are not able to download the app, I think either your memory is full, you may want to delete an app that you don't use anymore. Our files, our app size is only 40 MB, so it will not be a lot of burden on your phone.
And if you've done with the 3 questions and you've gone back, you've quit the quiz, then you should be able to see your results. And this is what should be on your mobiles once you've quit, post solving the 3 questions. And once we've reached here, please, let's wait for everyone else to catch up with us. And I'll make an announcement of the contest that we're just about to participate in.
Yeah, some people are giving it done, so that's great.
Great, thank you so much.
Guys, if you're done, yeah, thank you. Just use the chat window to let us know.
Yeah,
please
use the chat window.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And the reason for this exercise is, of course, one is to find out the winners for our surprise gift. And also the other reason is to have you see what we do. Yes, if you're done with the 3 questions, please press the back button on the top left, and you will see the results, the screen that Archana has shared on our screen here.
Yeah, so you
just do it free and just wait. Yeah. Yeah, Asthaji, we will have an iOS version. Please be patient, and we're also working very, very hard to make it happen. Yeah, I think Archana, we can move on to the next one. And I think those who are still midway, you can come to us,
you can catch
slowly.
up with us, yeah.
You can catch up, that's not a big deal. So we'll again walk you through. I think Archana, we can move on to the next step.
Sure, thanks. So what you can now do is click anywhere outside the result box, and what you would then see is Math Chapter 1 contest, and you would see a start button. So this is the contest that all of us are going to participate in. It's a quick contest with just 5 questions, and please start the contest and let us know as soon as you've done, and you'd want to see who are the top people who are finishing the contest.
Oh, some people are really fast. Arunji is like, he's already solved 5 questions.
Wow, that's amazing.
You're leading us. Or some have already received a badge as well. So if once you solve a couple of questions, you receive a badge. So in our app, we have made an effort and deliberately we have not chosen a lot of gamification features here because we believe that learning is a serious thing and we want to just keep our gamification elements very limited and focus more on the content and its and focus on the concept cards, focus on the videos. We've done all of that.
Yeah, so once you're done with the contest, do let us know. And now is when I'm going to announce the whole surprise part for the top performers.
So Arshna, what happens once you have done the 5 questions on the contest?
So once you've done the 5 questions on the contest, they're going to be able to see their result. And it's going to look something like this, where it will give them, their rank and their score.
Yeah, you see your score and as well as your score and a slash button, and after that the number represents the average of all the scores of different people who have participated in this competition.
Yeah, and what we really like you to do is that if your rank is in the top 3, please share the screenshot of it with us on the given email ID, which is saathi@taghive.com. And as I promised you, you will receive a surprise from the Taghive team. I'd like to tell you that we probably wait till the end of today, isn't it, Pankaj, for them to then finally see their rank. The reason for this being that there are students, like I said, over 50,000 users on the app, so there would be more students apart from all of you who'd be using and probably participating in the same contest. So by the end of today, all of those we'd have all of those scores and we'd get your final ranking tomorrow. So request you to go back into the app and let us know your rank tomorrow. And like I said, if you're in the top 3, do share the screenshot with us and we'll send you something nice on email.
So we'll wait for maybe a couple of.
Yeah, so please do let us know on the chat box, if you're able to see your final score and that if you've done with the contest.
Wow, Sramila ji has gone rank 1. I think the ranks will fluctuate depending on how many students solve it.
Yes. So apart from all the questions and the mock test and the test that you've seen on the app already, we have 2 other features where for every question the student, if they are in doubt and they need to revise, we have concept cards for revision, and we also have videos for almost every skill where the student can then click on it and is able to do a quick revision. So it's not just the questions or not just the assessment, but the app also allows students to have a very quick revision of important concepts. So have most of us finished with the contest? Pankaj, what's the status? Do we see a lot of...
I think a lot of people have done it. Yeah. So by the way, our solution is composed of 2 elements, as Arshna pointed out earlier. One is a in-school solution where students don't need to have a smartphone. They can just have a clicker and teacher's smartphone is enough. And the other solution is the at-home solution. We believe that almost every home has a smartphone, and if they don't have, they will have it soon. So they can use the parents' smartphone to these questions. And by the way, this app is completely personalized, meaning that after you solve a couple of questions for a couple of days, the app knows your levels and will recommend you questions based on your level. So one of our philosophies is that if a question is too tough for the student, that means this question is wrong. The student is correct all the time. Student should get the right questions to solve. It's a step-by-step learning method. So we want to give students the right questions matched to their level and handhold the kids, students, and bring them to the top slowly and steadily.
Great.
Yeah, by the way, this app is also completely free right now. We don't charge anything, completely free, and we plan to keep it that way for a long time.
So I really hope that, all of y'all have, enjoyed your first experience of the Class Saathi app. Your feedback is very important to us. So, do share in the comments now, and also, reach out to us later and share your feedback with us. And if there's anything as teachers or parents that, you would want to see on this app, feel free to also share that with us, and we'll try and incorporate, as much as we possibly can in the app for you. So post this webinar, explore the app, and do let us know your thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's, as I told, there is no cost. Some questions are there on the cost side. There's no cost. The app is completely free. The way we plan to make the company sustainable is through selling our clickers and adding more value services going forward.
Yeah. So are we good to proceed, Pankaj?
I think so. I think we can move forward.
Yeah. So
and this contest, just one more thing, Archana, sorry to interrupt again.
No problem.
We have this contest going on every day. So please participate on this contest. And there is maths that you have looked at. There's also science, by the way. If you just click on the arrow beside the math text there, you would see a different subject, and you can choose a different subject and let your student, students or your family members to solve any question choice that they want to solve, like maths or science chapter wise. They can look at different contests. For each chapter, we have a different contest also.
Great. Yeah. So I'm going to move ahead. So now that we've heard about Class Saathi and we've seen all of its offerings, we've also experienced it from a student's perspective firsthand as to how it feels to actually participate in a contest or a quiz. I would want to share from a couple of our teachers who've been using the app as to how they're using it for assessments. So I'm going to start with Romit, who's a class 8 teacher, and I want to share how he uses the app. Sorry.
Hi everyone, my name is Romit, and during this lockdown period, I'm teaching my students online. So it is very hard to take online assessment these days. So I'm using this app called Saathi, referred by my friend. So what I'm doing is that after every chapter, the students take their quiz or mock tests and they send me the scores so that I can see that if the students have learned properly or not. This app has helped me a lot. Thank you.
Moving on, I'd like to share what Polumi has to say, who's a private tutor.
Hello, I am Polumi Pal, and I am a private tutor teaching kids from class 6 to class 10. Recently, one of my friends have recommended the Class Saathi app by Taghive. What I really like about this application is the mock tests and the time-based quizzes. The difficulty level of each question, that is easy, medium, and hard, can be moderated. And after every answer, they give a detailed analysis for better understanding of the concepts. This is really helpful in monitoring the step-by-step progress of my students. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so you heard the teachers talk about using the app for assessments, and what happens when they use the app for assessment. Post that, we're able to share report cards with the entire school, on the class performance and on the student performance. I'm just going to show you a sample of a report card that we've been sharing with one of our partner schools. What you see over here is the overall class performance. So you can see the number of students who've studied maths and who've studied science, the number of questions that they have solved, their average score, the total number of days that they have studied. So this gives you an overall class performance. What we are also able to show you is student-wise performance, where again, we're saying student-wise, how many questions have they been able to solve in math and in science? What chapters have they completed? What's their average score? So over here, we're showing you a student-wise performance. And lastly, what we're also able to give you is a chapter-wise breakup. again saying, how many students have attempted, how many questions in every chapter, and what their average score is. So we're giving you an, overall school performance, a student-wise performance, and a chapter-wise performance. Apart from this, as a school, if there are any other data points that you would like to see in this report, we're more than happy to customize these reports for you. And with that, I'd like to share what one of our students has to say about using Class Saathi.
Hello, I am Sanjana Ray and I am studying in class 10. Recently, I got to know about the Class Saathi app. I am practicing a lot of sums with the help of this app. The chapter-wise tests are very useful and I am gaining a lot of confidence because of this app. Thank you.
And what I'd really like to leave you with is a heat map of those 50,000 users that I spoke about. So we have students right from Himachal to Chennai to Kolkata and Ahmedabad who are currently using and benefiting from our app. We'd like to reach out to more and more students across the entire country so that more students can benefit and progress from Class Saathi. Thank you so much, for joining us and for actively participating and for being there with us through this entire presentation. Sorry, Pankaj, you were saying something?
I was saying that the heat map that you showed, Arshana,
yeah.
That is, I would just like to point out that that heat map is at a particular point on that day, at that particular time. So we have seen more heavy sort of heat map or more dense heat map at different times of the day. This is just one snapshot. And in fact, yesterday we had around 1,000 users using the app at one point in time. So a lot of traction is coming in. A lot of students are liking it. And we hope to be able to serve more students and help them really learn through the quizzing app. And hope that they don't miss the school too much and are able to grow their learning levels every day.
Great. So that actually brings us to the end of this presentation. We're more than happy to take your questions. So please put in your questions in the Q&A section, or if you want to leave any comments for us in the chat box, please do that. We're now open to take your questions and we'll answer every single one of them.
Yeah. While the questions are coming in here, just one more side note. We are willing to work with schools, foundations, corporates that have CSR initiatives going on in different schools. So anybody who wants to work with us, please do reach out to us at saathi@taghive.com. We will be more than happy to follow up on your requests. We generate these reports that Arshana shared with you earlier. And some schools have really loved that, and they are able to now, because what has happened with online learning, teachers have lost control over the students. Students are losing attention, and teachers are not able to understand the level of comprehension of different kids. But with this app, now we are able to solve those pain points. Now teachers can have some control. Students' comprehension can be measured, and students' attention can be much more because now that they are focusing on the quiz, they want to find the right answer. So all that can be solved, and hope that while this crisis is going on, this app is used extensively. And once the schools open up, our clickers to the magic.
Okay, Pankaj and Archana, we have a few questions. I know, Pankaj, you've been very proactive and you've been answering questions that show up in the chat window very proactively. So there are very few that have slipped by, but I'm going to pose them to you anyway. 1 second, let's open my sheet. Yes, okay. So this is a slightly vague question, but how many tests are there? Are there a set number of tests that students can take per chapter, or can they take a combination of things? I'm going to expand the question a little bit to make it relevant for all of you.
So what happens is when you select a mock test, we have two types of mock tests. One is a short mock test that is 20 minutes, 20 questions. And the other mock test is, I think, 40 questions.
And 60 minutes.
Yeah, so two mock tests. And what happens is once you go into the mock test, you can actually choose the number of the chapters that you want to test yourself on. And you can also choose the difficulty level, or you can say, hey, give me mixed difficulties. So depending on that, there are n number of combinations possible. So every time you take a mock test, you can be assured of seeing new questions.
That's very helpful. We've got a couple of questions to this effect, one including right now from Shivani and one at the very beginning. Any opportunity for students to answer subjective type questions?
Not right now, because subjective type of questions involve a lot of effort. It's difficult to evaluate those in real time. I think today there is not too many solutions that do that well. I think we want to start with this, and we want to. If you see our questions, you will find that the questions involve a lot of work. Though it's an objective type question, students actually have to solve that in a paper using a paper and a pen to get the right answer. So we hope that we go with objective type for some time, and going forward technologies will evolve, and if there is one or we're able to build one, we'll also cover subjective type questions.
That's great. This is a two-part question. So does this work? So I know you mentioned a little earlier that once you've taken a few questions, because it's AI, the questions are personalized to you as a learner. So would it be possible for it to work on shared devices? Can 4 or 5 students have individual plans or individual accounts on a shared device? Would that be possible?
Sure. So once you can log out of your account on the Saathi app in the settings menu, which is the bottom right menu. And once you log out, you can always log in as a new user, and whatever user, any number of users can use the same mobile device for using the app.
So Shaili, I hope that you've got your answer, that you need to just log out and log in from a different account. Okay, is this personalization? So you mentioned personalization and the kind of questions you'd like for students to be able to answer. Is this personalization available to students even in school format? This is from Kirti.
So what happens is in the school, because the teacher is using the mobile phone to ask questions, the school evaluation is in a different format. What happens is each student gets a clicker device that you saw in the picture that Archana shared. So the students respond their questions through the clicker device, and teachers can now see on their mobile phone which students have answered correctly or incorrectly, and they can then give the personalized attention to those students. The questions will be, because it's just one question for the entire class. Now that said, when the students go home, they can actually see what questions were asked in the classroom through the parent app. And once they solve more questions on our platform, they will actually get a personalization, which will include the history of the questions that was solved in the classroom. So that element of personalization is there.
So I've got another question here. This is from Tawheed and a couple of other teachers. This is actually a popular question. Can teachers design questions for students?
So right now, to make sure that we have quality control, we're just doing it ourselves. But in the teacher app that is in the classrooms, teachers have the flexibility to bring their own questions. In fact, in the classroom app, the teachers can actually earn profile points for questions that they create and for questions that are used by other teachers. So if you are a teacher and you use our Class Saathi in the school app with the clickers system, then you can actually create your own questions. And the more questions that you create are used by other teachers to assess the students in the classroom, then your profile goes up and you will be noticed as a good teacher. We have done that we have used our classroom clicker solution in UP schools in Varanasi and in MP in Bhopal and Raisen.
Great. Of course, feel free to get in contact with Pankaj, with Archana on the email ID that is mentioned, and I'll put it down in the chat window again. But adding on to a couple of questions, Sahana asks, is the app self-navigatable? What if we need students to compulsorily cover certain topics before certificates could be provided?
So yeah, it's of course self-navigatable. It's a very flexible app. What we do is we have identified criteria on how many chapters or how many questions in each chapter they need to solve to get a certificate. Because we believe that learning needs to be a continuous journey. You just cannot come here to the app for a couple of days and just get your certificate. We want the kids to come to the app for at least 60 days in a year to be qualified for getting a certificate. If schools want us to create different criteria for their schools, we can do that as well. That flexibility is possible. But right now we have chosen certain parameters based on our understanding and our expert interviews with other expert teachers. We'll use that, but if you feel that we need to add more days to the minimum criteria, we can do that as well.
Great. And this is another question that's happened in the chat window. Richa asks, and I'm assuming, Richa, please correct me if I'm incorrect, but I'm assuming, Richa, this is from the standpoint of students cheating. I'm assuming that is what it is from. Can students access other websites while answering the question?
Yes, they can. We have not blocked that. That's too tough because people these days have multiple devices. Even if you block them on that phone, they will anyway find out their own ways, right? Kids are smart. So to begin with, we want that kids get questions that they are able to solve to begin with. If they are not getting the right questions, that means we are not doing our job. And that is not personalization. So we hope that one of the metrics for us is that kids don't have to go to that second source to find the right answer in the sort of equilibrium mode. But we are not limiting on that access right now.
That's very helpful. I will continue to ask you questions. There are questions in the question and answer box, as you probably noticed. We will keep answering those, but yes, I will take a few questions live if you'd like.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk a little bit about how I can add students. So, if a teacher, as a teacher, how can the teacher add students and therefore look at their specific results on the app?
So what they have to do is teachers will have to let us know. For the report part, like when we generate reports for the students, that's the paid part, by the way. So we work with schools. Students can use the app for free, but if the school wants us to prepare reports for a certain set of students, we charge a nominal fee for each student per month. So if the teachers want to work, say, with 100 students, they can reach out to us saying that, hey, we want to plan for 100 students. The students can use the app for free, but if the teachers give us those names, we can give them a detailed analytical report, just like the one that Archana shared. And there's much more. We'll also show you how your students compare to the broader Saathi user base, right, in that class. So all that data will be very, very useful to get a perspective and to also know all the students that are in your class in one frame.
That's very helpful. Another question, this is from Tawheed again. We logged on now as a student. As a teacher, do we have a different interface? And how is the linking of student-teacher done? Similar to what we've just discussed.
Yes, interface is different. So, and it's the same app, by the way. You wouldn't even notice that. We have designed it in such a way that the teacher interface is completely hidden. So once you sign into the app, depending on how you sign in, you get a different interface. So if you sign in as a teacher, and I think most students wouldn't even notice whether that interface is. So once we work with the schools, we let them know, hey, click on that part and you would be able to log in as a teacher. So once they do that, the teachers are able to add students with the clickers, and they will also be able to connect the student app, the at-home app, to the teacher app using an invite code.
That's very helpful.
That's technical, but yeah, that is possible. We have done that with teachers in Bhopal. It was all seamless, very easy learning curve.
That's great. I've got another couple at the very least I'd want to make sure we get to before we're done at 4. Shivani asks, just as there is adaptive learning and content modulation for math, is that also available for science?
Yes, likewise, science. So our algorithm is the same for both. It's adaptive. In fact, what we do, one of the beautiful things that we do is, we dynamically change the difficulty level of each question, meaning that the adaptive tests have been for long. They've been there with the students for long. What has not been there is each question has a difficulty tag attached to it, right? And that difficulty tag stays the same for most platforms that you use. But what we do is, depending on how the students are solving questions, we actually understand the students better and say, hey, this question is too easy and it's marked difficult. So we change the difficulty tag as well. So there's a dynamic update of the difficulty level as well as the students solve questions. So that part is the uniqueness part of our platform in a way. And we really learn students in a very deep way and try to give them the right questions that are matched to their levels.
That's very helpful. Another question, and this is in line with everyone asking for Class Saathi in English and SST, etc. A user wanted to know if it would also be at some point available in art and craft. And
I think it all depends on you, the users. If the users love us, there is no reason why we shouldn't be expanding to different subjects and different classes and different platforms. So please love us. Please give us your feedback. We are a small company. We have left our expensive, high-paying jobs to do this, and trying to make an impact. And we're lucky that in this time of crisis, we are being of some value to the students. So we want to do that, continue doing that. We'll keep on adding subjects. That's what we are here for. But for the moment, we want to fine tune our algorithm, fine tune our platform. And once that is done, adding subjects is a piece of cake. I think we'll do that later on.
Thank you very much, Pankaj and Archana. At this point, I'd like to thank both of you for being generous with your time and expertise today. I also request you guys to quickly share your thoughts on the webinar we've just had today. How was your experience in the last hour or so?
Archana, why don't you start first?
Thanks, Rahul. So I think my experience has been, really great. I think the audience has been so participative, and I think that adds, so much to this entire webinar. That's the life of the entire webinar. If only Pankaj and I were talking, then it wouldn't really, be so much fun. The number of questions that I see right through the webinar. So, I'm sure everyone's enjoyed it as much as we have. So I think it's been a great experience. And thank you so much, Rahul, and the entire Firki team for putting this together and making it so smooth for us.
Yeah, thanks, Archana. Again, thanks to Rahul, thanks to Prerna, thanks to the entire Firki team. Honestly, when I saw the numbers, like more than 100 people joining in, there's no reason to be nervous, honestly, right? This is just a normal call. I just felt like being on the stage. It's so nervous, and it just feels that this is the new normal and this is going to work out for long. Even if things get back to normal, like the old days, we would prefer to use this platform. And I think what Firki's team is doing is this great job. We would love to work with you guys to see how we can make more impact. And to the audience here, I would love to hear your feedback. I think with any innovation, things are chaotic. There are a lot of things to be done. We're trying to give structure to the chaos all the time, but there's always a new chaos coming in. And we want to keep on innovating, keep on pushing the frontiers. So please let us know with whatever questions you have, ideas for partnerships. If you think that we need to focus on certain areas, please spot that for us. We are here to create impact, not just for making an app that really has a lot of downloads. So please, looking forward to hear from you after the seminar is over.
And with that, we've come to the end of our webinar today. We would like you to kindly, before you leave, dear participants, take a minute to give us feedback on your learning experience on our webinar today. This helps us grow and improve our resources for you. The link to which will be in the chat box really soon. Our next webinar is scheduled to take place on July the 2nd. It's titled How to Boost Resilience and Embrace Peace During COVID-19. So please keep looking for emails in your inboxes from Firki. As usual, we've also ended this webinar, including the email ID and phone number that you can use to contact the Taghive team. That is also in the chat window. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you once again, Pankaj and Archana.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Please stay safe, and hope we all get back to the old normal soon.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.